This story begins with a man named Peter, who is a captain in the Australian Army. Today, he has just returned to Australia, his home country, after finishing his tour in Iraq. As soon as Peter arrives, he goes to his girlfriend, Dina, and surprises her. Seeing Peter, Dina becomes very happy. Peter then proposes to Dina with a ring, and she happily says yes to the marriage. Now, as they are leaving the park to go home, two boys in a convertible car start harassing Dina. One of them, named Ron, begins making vulgar comments about Dina from inside the car. He even unzips his pants in front of her. Seeing this, Peter becomes extremely angry and starts beating up Ron and his friend. However, as Ron realizes that Peter is overpowering him, he pulls out a knife. In self-defense, Peter pushes Ron backward, causing him to fall. But as he falls, he accidentally stabs himself with his own knife, resulting in his death on the spot. After this, Peter gets arrested. When he secures bail and comes out, his lawyer advises him to plead guilty in court, showing remorse for what he did. The lawyer suggests that if Peter pleads guilty, he will only receive a 2-year sentence. But if he fights the case, he could be sentenced to 8 to 10 years. Accepting his lawyer's advice, Peter pleads guilty in court and receives an 18-month sentence. In the next scene, we see a billionaire businessman named John, who is deeply grieving the loss of his son, Ron. Using his political connections, John gathers all the information about Peter and finds out which prison he will be serving his sentence in. John then visits that prison and meets with the warden. He offers the warden a suitcase full of money and tells him to make Peter's life a living hell inside the prison. He also promises to pay the warden and his guards a large sum of money every month for this task. The warden agrees. Now, Peter is brought to the prison. There, a guard named Luca introduces the new inmates to the prison rules and orders them to strip. When Peter speaks up, Luca immediately hits him and tells him that inside this prison, only the guards are allowed to speak. After the initial entry process, the guard's supervisor, Dave, takes the new inmates to meet the warden. Since Peter's arrest was covered by the media due to him being a war hero, the warden pretends to be nice to him in front of others. The warden tells Dave that they need to take good care of Peter. Dave, an honest guard, is unaware of the warden's true intentions. He escorts Peter to his new cell and advises him to stay away from fights and trouble. Later, Peter enters the prison's playground, where several groups of inmates are exercising. By accident, he bumps into an inmate. Even after Peter apologizes, the inmate starts a fight with him. However, Peter is incredibly skilled and agile, making it impossible for the inmate to land a hit. At that moment, a gang of inmates intervenes. The leader of this gang is Franco. After witnessing Peter's fighting skills, Franco is impressed and offers Peter his support. Seeing Franco and his gang, the other inmate backs off. Soon after, Supervisor Dave arrives and puts an end to the fight. Peter thanks Franco for his help. To avoid the prison's chaos and violence, Peter starts spending time in the library. There, he meets an old inmate named David, who teaches him how to organize books properly. On his way back to his cell, Peter is once again harassed by gang members. He controls his anger and ignores them, but the gang members continue to provoke him. One day, while Peter is quietly reading a book in his cell, guard Luca enters with 2 other guards, Short and Danny. The warden has assigned them to harass Peter. They snatch his book and trash his entire cell. While searching the cell, Luca finds a photo of Dina. To provoke Peter, Luca starts making obscene comments about Dina and even kisses her photo. Peter becomes furious, but Short and Danny hold him back. Luca then tears Dina's photo apart and slaps Peter on the head. Peter, however, does not react, knowing that if he attacks a guard, he will be thrown into solitary confinement and have his sentence extended. Luca, wanting to provoke Peter further, takes out his baton and starts beating him. But Danny steps in and stops Luca, saying that Peter has received enough punishment for the day. Luca lets him go. The next day, while Peter is taking a shower, a tall, muscular inmate, who is a convicted rapist, approaches him with predatory intentions. Peter, in a fit of rage, punches the inmate in the neck and chest, making him fall to the ground. However, since Peter got involved in a fight, Luca arrives and starts beating him. He then drags Peter to the warden's office. Peter tries to explain that he was being harassed by the inmate, but the warden dismisses his complaint, saying that such things are normal in prison. When Peter starts arguing with the warden, Luca and Short begin beating him up. Once again, Danny steps in to stop them, warning them that if they kill Peter now, they won't be able to continue torturing him for the money they are receiving. In the next scene, Peter is seen having lunch with David. By now, they have become good friends. While eating in the canteen, Peter notices the inmate he fought with on his first day. That inmate signals to Peter that he plans to kill him, but Peter ignores him. After lunch, Peter and David head straight to the library. While organizing books, David shares his story with Peter, He reveals that he has been imprisoned for 15 years because he and his brother had robbed a truck filled with cash. During the robbery, 2 guards and a police officer were killed, and his brother also lost his life. As a result, David was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of ever getting out. He also confesses to Peter that after stealing the money, he hid it in a secret location. While they are talking, Luca arrives and tells Peter that someone has come to visit him. When Peter reaches the meeting room, he sees Dina. It is the first time in many days that Peter looks happy. However, Luca deliberately does not allow Peter to talk to Dina for long, cutting their time short. Then, Luca and Short forcefully take Peter back to his cell. Now, Peter starts spending his free time with Franco and his gang, playing cards and having conversations with them. One day, in the playground area, the same tall, muscular inmate attacks a newly arrived inmate and starts beating him brutally. Just when he is about to hit the new inmate with a dumbbell, Peter intervenes and fights him. Supervisor Dave arrives and helps Peter stop the fight. The next day, while Peter is cleaning the prison bathroom, the same rival gang inmate from before comes to take revenge for their first fight. He attacks Peter, but Peter defends himself using his military combat skills and easily overpowers him. At that moment, Luca arrives. Instead of punishing both inmates, he lets the other inmate go and holds Peter solely responsible for the fight. Luca then starts punishing Peter. While Luca is beating him, the warden also arrives and physically assaults Peter in a brutal manner. The warden even shoves Peter's face into a toilet bowl, causing him to vomit. The next day, the 3 guards, Short, Danny, and Luca, are sitting in the break room. All 3 of them are being paid by the warden to torture Peter. However, Short says that he can no longer bear to see Peter being tormented daily, and he does not want to be a part of it anymore. He warns that if they continue to do this without reason, an inquiry could be launched against them. When Luca tries to convince him otherwise, Short threatens that if they force him to continue, he will report all of them to the senior authorities. After Short leaves, Dave arrives and asks them what is going on. However, since Dave is not corrupt and does not accept money from the warden, both Luca and Danny remain silent. Dave then warns them not to forget that he is the senior supervisor there and orders them never to assign Peter to toilet cleaning duty again, as he has already assigned him to work in the library. Luca and Danny then go to the warden's office and inform him that Short has refused to take money and has even started showing sympathy towards Peter. They also reveal that Short has threatened to file a complaint against them. The warden, upon hearing this, orders them to eliminate Short so that they won't face any trouble in the future. The next day, while Luca and Danny are searching a prisoner's room, they find a knife. The prisoner immediately kneels before them and begs for forgiveness so that his punishment is not extended. Seeing his desperation, they let him go but confiscate the knife. The following day, when the same prisoner is cleaning the bathroom, he finds Short's dead body in a bathtub. His throat has been slit. Shocked, he stands frozen. But just then, Luca and Danny arrive. Without hesitation, they pin Short's murder on the prisoner since the knife used to kill Short was the same one they had confiscated from his room. One day, Peter is sitting with David in the prison playground, where David explains to him about the different prison gangs. Seeing Peter with David, Franco, along with his gang, approaches them. Franco tells Peter that he should stay with his real gang and his own people. However, Peter refuses, saying that he is not a part of any gang and that everyone in prison is his friend. Franco is enraged by Peter's response. The next day, while showering, Peter and David witness Franco's gang stabbing and killing the man who had previously attacked Peter. The blame for the murder falls on Peter because he had a prior altercation with the victim. Peter immediately goes to the rival gang and tells them that he had no role in their gang member's murder, but they refuse to believe him. To them, it seems like Peter is part of Franco's gang. Peter then confronts Franco in his cell, asking why he killed that man. Franco responds that if they had not killed him, he would have killed Peter instead. However, Peter insists that he is not part of Franco's gang and can take care of himself. This enrages Franco, and his men throw Peter out of the cell. A few days later, Diana comes to visit Peter again, but Luca and Short take her into a room under the pretext of searching her. They force her to undress and conduct an invasive search. Luca even behaves in a disgusting manner toward her. Later, Luca tells Peter about the incident, angering him deeply. However, being behind bars, he is helpless and unable to take revenge. The next time Diana visits Peter, he refuses to meet her, as his enemies are using her as his weakness. One day, while Peter is sitting with David in the playground, Luca and Short take him to a tool area under Franco's orders. Franco arrives and announces that he is going to kill both Peter and David. Unable to control his anger, Peter lunges at Franco. When Luca intervenes, Peter starts beating him too. Franco flees, but Peter mercilessly beats Luca and Short, leaving them unable to control him. Just then, Dave arrives and stops Peter by hitting him. Since Peter attacked the guards, his sentence is extended, and he is thrown into solitary confinement. Even there, Luca and Short continue to torment him by depriving him of food. Furious, Dave confronts the warden, demanding to know why Peter was taken to the Tool House and who authorized his solitary confinement. The warden coldly replies that Peter attacked the guards and deserves such treatment. He warns Dave never to question his authority again, threatening to get him fired. After weeks of torture and isolation, Peter's mental health begins to deteriorate. He starts behaving like a madman, convinced that he will never escape from prison. For weeks later, Dave pulls Peter out of confinement. Peter is terrified and refuses to speak to Dave. Seeing his state, Dave feels deeply sorry for him and offers to help, but Peter silently returns to his cell. After spending so much time in solitary confinement, Peter's mental balance has been completely destroyed. However, with time, he slowly starts recovering and even begins stepping out into the playground again. Franco, however, is still determined to take revenge on Peter. He orders a new prisoner, handing him a weapon and instructing him to kill Peter. However, Peter had helped this new prisoner before, so the new inmate refuses to attack him. Enraged, Franco goes to the new prisoner's cell and kills him. David informs Peter that Franco murdered the boy. Hearing this, Peter is unable to control his rage. The next day, he confronts Franco, calling him a coward. He also taunts Franco's gang, questioning how they could follow a leader who doesn't even fight his own battles. Seeing Peter's boldness, the rival gang sides with him and challenges Franco to a fight. Franco, who is overconfident in his large gang, sends his biggest and strongest member to fight Peter. However, Peter defeats and knocks him unconscious in front of everyone. Franco's gang is shaken, but Peter challenges Franco to a one-on-one fight. The warden, watching from his window, orders Luca and Short not to intervene, hoping Peter will kill someone in his rage and never be able to leave prison. As the fight begins, Peter dominates Franco, beating him badly in front of all the prisoners. He is about to kill him when David signals him to stop, warning that doing so will extend his sentence. Understanding the consequences, Peter spares Franco's life. After the fight, Peter embraces David in victory. However, just then, a prisoner throws a weapon toward Franco. Franco grabs it and is about to stab Peter, but David jumps in front of him and gets injured. Seeing this, the leader of the rival gang stabs Franco in the neck, killing him on the spot, and the fight ends. Dave takes Peter to the warden. The warden coldly informs Peter that his sentence has been extended. Peter, enraged, demands to know why he is being treated this way when he has no personal enmity with the warden. The warden then reveals that he was paid to make Peter's life hell by the father of the boy Peter had killed. He states that he will never let Peter leave prison easily. However, Peter had hidden a recorder in his trousers, capturing the warden's confession. Just then, Dave enters with new guards and FBI agents. With solid evidence of the warden's abuse of power, the warden is arrested, along with Luca and Short. After all this, Peter visits David in the hospital. David, knowing he will remain in prison for life, tells Peter the location of the money he had stolen 15 years ago. He asks Peter to give half of it to his daughter and tell her that he misses her dearly. Finally, Peter's release day arrives. Dave bids him farewell as Peter leaves the prison. Outside, Diana is waiting for him and is overjoyed to see him. A few days later, Peter takes a bag full of money and visits a young woman, David's daughter. He hands her the bag and tells her that her father misses her very much and hopes she will visit him someday. With that, Peter and Diana leave together, and the story comes to an end. So how did you like this story? Let me know in the comments.